Welcome to increasing show-up rates and pre-event excitement using virtual meetings, badges, and community. Our speaker is Feyosola Ogufemi, owner and lead planner at Stack US Events. Feyosola is a computer engineering turned event planner and coach to event planners, like me. She is the owner of Statuesque Events, an event planning agency who has been planning intentional corporate events and weddings for 12 years. Her work has been featured in BizBatch, The Knot, Bridges, Thrive Global, Insider, Fox 5 DC, and more. As a techie herself, she's passionate about leveraging technologies for increased engagement and connection among event attendees and using it to streamline the event planning process for busy clients. Without further ado, welcome up Feyosola.
Thank you. Thanks for that warm welcome. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited that you are here in the afternoon. You're still here, ready to learn, and you're listening to my session. I'm really, really excited. I'm looking forward to questions and hopefully making this a dialogue as much as possible. But I'm really excited about today's topic. It is a little bit less about technology and more about how to use technology to increase engagement. And I really hope that, that this excites you as much as it excites. All right? All right. A little bit about me. You probably were like, Feyosola. I'm Nigerian. I'm originally from New York, and I currently live in Maryland. So if you ask me where I'm from, you get all three answers because I don't know which question you're asking. But that's a little bit about me. I am an engineer turned event planner. I went to the University of Pennsylvania, and I studied computer engineering. I graduated, got an IT job, and a long term of events, a beauty pageant, and a fundraising event I worked on led me down the path of becoming an event planner. And I've been doing that now for 12 years. Now, I am a proud introvert. I am very friendly, though. I love people, but no one believes me when I say I'm an introvert. And I love to share that because a lot of times when we're talking about engagement, connecting with people, a lot of people use introversion as an excuse to not do it. But there are many ways that you can work around introvert, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Also, I'm a Christian. I'm a servant. I use my extra time to serve in church, serve in nonprofits. It's just something I like to do. I just like to toss in there. I was on the BizBatch list in 2020. I'm hoping to be back on it soon. But yes, I'm really excited about, all the places we've been featured. Some of them are listed below. I am a conference speaker and a business coach, and my program is called Planners Who Profit. My company is called Statuesque Events. Planners Who Profit is our program under it for event planners. So that's a little bit about me. Now, that was a lot of words, but what's really important, what you really care about today, is the fact that I am an event planner, the fact that I am an event host, and an event attendee. And so those are the three perspectives that I want to talk to you about today, right? Because as someone who plans events, I want to figure out how to get people to stay connected at your events, how to get people excited so they show up. As someone who is an event host, you definitely want people to show up and to stay excited and to come to your events. And as somebody who is an event attendee, I think that this presentation will maybe change your perspective on some of the things you notice when you attend other people's events and just gleaning some ideas on things you can incorporate in your own events, right? So I mentioned I'm an event host. I host my own annual event for event planners called Planners Who Profit. And a lot of the things we're talking about today are things that I've actually employed and that I've found very helpful, both for myself and for some of the clients that I've worked with, all right? That's a little bit about the part of my bio that you actually care about. All right. So what I believe that technology has given us the power to influence the culture and the connections that take place at our events. I believe we're in control of it, right? As an event host or even as an event planner. You're the one who gets to say, this is how I want people to feel. This is what I want people to leave with. This is how I want people to connect. And this is what I want people to connect over at our events. And I think we can be very intentional about that. And then we can use technology to support it, right? And I think that you can do a lot of this before the event even begins. I think that's actually the best place to, start to build this kind of connection and engagement, because once people land, they're just kind of going with the flow. But especially with events where people are purchasing tickets months in advance or even up to a year in advance, that gives you so much time and opportunity to get people excited about it and about your event. Now, more specifically, I keep talking about engagement, but I want to talk about what I mean by this specifically. I believe that high engagement looks like high show-up rates, right? The truth is that not everybody who registers for an event shows up for it, even when it's paid, even when it's $1,000, even when it's expensive. Not everybody who registers for an event actually shows up, and that's what we want, right? Sometimes people register for events and at the last minute say, I'll just join on Zoom, or I'll just wait for the replay. You know, especially these days when we have hybrid events, right? What we want is people to be excited about showing up, right, in person, right? For those people, you know, at my last event, I had someone who couldn't attend because she just had a baby. So, of course, I love providing a virtual experience for people who cannot come, who are immunocompromised and all that. But for everyone else, I want you to be excited about coming. I don't want you to treat it like another Zoom call, right? And I think that the way that you engage people before the event can really control that a lot. High engagement looks like people inviting their friends, right? Not just showing up and that's it, right? And when I say friends loosely, I also mean like social media friends, sharing about the event to other people, telling other people that they're excited about being there, right? Not just waiting till after they land to share about all that's going on, but really talking about it for weeks, months leading up to it. So other people are like, man, wait, hold on. Maybe I want to go too. This is exciting, right? Like there's a lot that we can do, that we can control to get more people to want to come. And I think that we want to borrow other people's audience. So even those people who are attending, who haven't even shown up yet, we want them to evangelize about our events and to get people excited about it. And even if they don't show up this year, they show up to the next one. They follow your page, they join your newsletter because they don't want to miss your next event, right? Another thing that engagement looks like to me is when your attendees cannot stop talking about your event on social media, both when they arrive and even leading up to it, because they're like, man, there's something waiting for me there. I can't wait, right? Like to me, that's what engagement looks like. And that's the best kind of marketing, especially for those of us who host events over and over and over again. Because again, even if someone cannot make it this year, you've gotten their attention for the next one. And the last one for me, engagement looks like your event turning into a community, not a bunch of people coming, writing, scribbling some stuff down and disappearing, but people saying, man, I love this community. I met new people and I can't wait to come back again next year and see all my friends again at this event, right? And I think that's how events grow. You know, I always like to say that retention, what growth is all about retention. You know, growing your hair is all about retention, making sure that your hair doesn't break, right? Everybody's hair naturally grows. So with our events, if you want to have repeat attendees, you got to get people excited about coming back for something. And usually, I'm not sure if information alone is always enough. I think it's a combination of information, transformation, and of course, and I think that, you know, building a community is a strong reason for people to want to come over and over and over again. This is what we're going for. That's what we're talking about in today's presentation, all right? Now, the first piece that I want to talk about is digital pre-event badges. So for our events, one of the things that we do is every single person who registers gets access to a personalized digital pre-event badge. And the coolest thing about this is it makes everyone excited about sharing about your event, right? It's rare for people to want to share your event flyer on their social media page. I know that a lot of times we try to say, hey guys, you know, share this event with your friends. We give them these generic flyers with a lot of words on them. People don't want to share that to their profile, right? And also the people who are following them don't want to see that. But what people who are following me, for instance, are following me because they want to see what's going on in my life. So if I get to share a personalized badge talking about what's going on in my life, talking about how excited I am about attending this event, and it looks really cool, that has already incentivized the person to share it. Now, one of the things that I recommend here, and I have a freebie at the end, so to help you out with this, is I recommend that you add an intake form to the thank you page when people register for your event. So if somebody registers 8 months before your event, they should have access to this intake form 8 months before the event, which means that when they fill it out, you have access to create a badge for them 8 months before the event, and they can start telling their friends that they're attending this event 8 months before the event, right? And that increases the chances that their family, their friends, whoever's following them on social will be interested in going with them. This doesn't have to be as difficult as it sounds. Believe it or not, the form that you're looking at, the badge you're looking at right now is something that I created 100% in Canva, and it is a template. So each time someone else joined, I just changed the personalized parts, changed the image, changed the name, where they were located, and all that stuff. It's not as difficult as it sounds if you don't have an in-house graphic designer, but I think that the impact is huge. So I think some things you definitely want to ask are for the person's headshot. So you want to use an intake form, which allows you to upload files. I use Airtable, so I'll be sharing my Airtable base in the freebie that I have for you today. But of course, here we're learning about so many other technology companies that have intake forms and different kinds of things that you can use. And really, this is less about the technology, like I said, and more about the point, right? Being able to have this and have it available at the time that people are registered. The second thing you want to ask for, and this might sound weird, but I always ask people for their big wins. How long have you been in business? I do a lot of B2B events, so I ask, how long have you been in business? If it's not B2B, ask them questions. If it's an event for mothers, how many children do you have? Or how long have you been a mom? Things like that, asking those sorts of questions, because those feed the caption. It may not feed into the badge, but it could feed into the caption, so that as people are seeing you share about the people who are attending, they can resonate and say, oh, wow, a lot of these, it's a mix of like mature moms and young moms. And we even have a couple of pregnant moms, moms to be, who are coming to this event. And when people start to see themselves in the things you're sharing, they get more excited about coming, and they see that that they fit in, right? So those are some questions I would like to ask on the intake form. I always like to ask where people are from, because it creates a culture of travel for your event. If you continue sharing badges that say this event is taking place, my last event took place in Beverly Hills, and then you share badges saying person X is coming from Ohio, person B is coming from New York, person C is coming from Florida, you're literally creating a culture where people who are watching online see that they too can hop on a flight and come to your event, right? They don't have to be local. You're answering questions before people even ask, and you're getting them excited about coming out. I also like to ask, how many events have they attended if you're doing an annual event or a repeat event, like if you have multiple events, right? Showcase the person who's been to 7 of your events, right? This is my 7th time coming, because that shows that there's real value in the room for someone to come multiple times, right? We've had people, I've done 4 events total. We've had people come to all 4. We've had people come to 3, right? And so showcasing that mix helps people get excited. And you also want to showcase the newbies, as it helps those people who are not part of the community realize that they're not the only ones who are new. So it's really, all you're really doing is showcasing your people, but it creates so much excitement. The last thing about this is that you get to see people's faces. So when you finally meet them in person, you feel like you know them. And I think that that's exciting, like people coming and saying, oh, I love this. When we started sharing our badges this year, a lot of people said, I love the diversity. Like, I love seeing the diversity of people who are coming. I love seeing where they're coming from, how many years in business. Like, I literally had people commenting on our post saying, I love seeing, right? This is so exciting. I've never seen anything like this before. I am not the only person to do an event that has diversity, but because we showcased it this way, it was more obvious to people, and it got people excited, right? And even for the people who couldn't make it, they were excited about watching the follow-up videos and the follow-up posts and all of that, right? Another thing here that I also recommend, I didn't write it here, but I strongly recommend, is asking for people's social media profiles in that intake form, because especially now in the age of cross posts, like adding collaborators on Instagram, you can post these badges and invite people as collaborators, and they have the choice to accept it or not. But as they're accepting it, guess what? You're getting in front of their audience. So all this comes, like, you're building excitement before we even get there. And it looks cool. It's content. Everybody's looking for content, right? And it just looks cool. So I really love the digital pre-event badges, right? So the first goal, like I said before, is to showcase the type of people who are coming to your event, so people can see themselves in your work. Whenever I teach or coach about marketing, I say that people buy when they can see themselves in your work. If I can't see myself in what you're doing, I may not think it's for me, right? And so when you start to showcase, okay, we've got people who are 2 years in business, and people 10 years in business, and people 8 years, it helps that person who's 7 years in business see that they fit in. right? I think that's really cool. And especially if you are trying to target a specific segment, showing more and more people from that segment will attract more people like that. The second thing is that you give people the opportunity to chat with one another and make buddies before the event. It's so funny. My event this year, we had like a pre-day, a prep day for VIP, and a few other things. And when I walked into the prep day, one of the girls was telling me that she had dinner the night before with someone else at the event. And I was like, oh, wow, you guys knew each other before? She was like, oh, no, I just messaged her. You know, when I knew I was coming to town early and I saw that she was local. So I messaged her and I was like, let's do dinner. I'm coming a day early. Let's do dinner. And it just built like this bond that made people like feel like they belong because she came alone, came to the event alone, and she already had friends before the event even started, right? Because people had a way to contact each other and chat. Number 3, it also makes it super easy for people to market your event, right? Building these badges. Bonus points if you build like the square version and the long Instagram stories version. Bonus points if you do both. We did both. People mostly shared the squares, but it's nice to have both for people to use. It makes it easy. Like people do things when you make it easy for them, right? So I think this is, if anybody has any questions, I'm excited to hear them. I know they're supposed to be submitted there. But if you want to raise your hand, you could do that. And I'll just repeat your question. All right, so part two. Part 2, I'm going to run through this a little quicker. Digital communities. Currently, I have a free Facebook group, the private but free Facebook group, where we allow people to mingle with one another. And we used it to allow people to coordinate to find roommates for the event, right? So instead of people, if people didn't want to, pay $300 a night for a hotel room, why not find a roommate, someone who's also attending the event, and split it with them. And a bunch of people did that, and then they also left as friends, right? So creating little roommate posts, also post-event excursions. For me, I'm really big on events ending by 5:00 so people can enjoy the city that they travel to. And so, but a lot of people go to conferences and events like this alone, and creating a group, allowing people to talk to one another and encouraging them, like creating threads, like, hey, this is a going out thread, this is a roommate thread, creating threads for people to communicate with each other on. It's like you're creating a community, you're creating an atmosphere where people don't feel weird looking for friends at the event, and they connect with one another. Some people connected about doing a Hollywood Hills tour together. A bunch of people went to the Hollywood sign without me. I'm not mad, but anyways, so a bunch of people went to the Hollywood sign together after the event, and they shared the pictures, and guess what? All of those pictures, they tagged my company, right? And they credited our company for creating this community that allowed them to go out and explore and have fun and all that good stuff, right? So even the stuff that happens outside of the event can be credited to you and really attracts people to you. But you give people an opportunity to connect ahead of time and make plans together. The last thing, of course, is being able to share pictures of the event, right? You guys probably can't see this, but we shared a picture of the event, and one person commented, "I woke up yesterday missing y'all." And someone else commented, "We look so cute." And just having the opportunity to stay connected and laugh and chat, I think that's what we want, right? At any event. And of course, you can exchange phone numbers with people, but we all know how that. It's rare that you actually follow up and chat. But when you create like a social atmosphere where people can do that, it's just more fun, right? It's just more exciting. And so this is something that I definitely am excited about. And I definitely think creating some sort of community that people will use. Again, I use Facebook communities. I know not everybody, quote unquote, uses Facebook, but it's something that at least most people are using. So fewer people have to create a login to join the group. And that's why I like using Facebook. But you can anything, right? You can incorporate it into your event platforms. Like you can use whatever it is that you want to use, but having a place for attendees to chat with each other is great. It also doesn't have to be private. That's a pro tip, because that's a great way to create FOMO. Right? So if you just have a free group in general for your organization, let the people who are going to your event talk to each other in front of the people who have not purchased tickets yet. And it creates FOMO, and it gets other people like, yeah, I need to hurry up and buy my ticket. I need to join, right? So that's something that you want to do. And for those who don't know, FOMO is fear of missing out. It's an acronym. So creating FOMO is a real thing when it comes to marketing, because those people who have a fear of missing out will buy a ticket and show up at your event. All right? Okay, the third thing was virtual meetings. right? So I'm speaking a lot about from the premise of creating either an in-person or a hybrid meeting. So if you're having an in-person or hybrid meeting, then the final meeting for most people will be in person, right? But you can always have hybrid events up to the meeting. And there's two ways to use it, right? You can have virtual meetings to market the event. Like, so people can come, people who haven't purchased tickets can come and learn about the event. But what I'm really talking about here as far as engagement is having private events only for those who've registered leading up to the meeting. So we had monthly mini masterclasses leading up to my event that were only open to those who have registered. And they were Zoom calls, two-way Zoom calls, not like webinar style, like you can talk, you can unmute, you can have your camera on, and it allowed us all to connect, right? And the final one was just an intention setting call. It wasn't really teaching much. It was more encouraging and getting everybody to share. And that really helped to build some bonds before the event happened. It's also a great way to answer any questions about pre-work. If you do events that require pre-work or anything like that, you get a chance to answer those before you get into your event, so that at your event, you can just focus on your core content and community. I think building community is the most important thing at an event. And so being able to get as much of a little bit of content out of the way up front, so you have room to breathe and get to know each other and do experiential stuff during the event, I think is. And it also gives you a chance to bond with attendees. Like, literally, there's so many people who came to our event and I had never met a day in my life. They live in another state. And as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh my gosh, hi, Emily. You know, it's like I knew them forever because of these virtual events and building that connection. It's really hard, especially if you're having an event with over 50 or over 100 people. It's going to be really hard to build a connection with every single person over the span of 1 to 3 days, right? But if you have these, it kind of softens it a bit, get to know a few things. And even though you may have less time with the person, it's more meaningful because you already knew about them beforehand. So that is my spiel. The goal number 1 is to encourage, I believe strongly in encouraging fast action and rewarding fast action. So when you reward, so again, going back to the example of the person who registers 8 months in advance, rewarding them can look like, yeah, they got an early bird ticket sale, but then they also get access to all 4 or 6 of your pre-event masterclasses because they've registered in advance, right? So they get more time with you, they get more time to learn with you, and you're encouraging that fast action with additional value. And that additional value doesn't cost you much. It just costs you an hour a month on Zoom, right? Number 2, also, you're giving the attendees a chance to bond with each other in advance, which gets them excited, right? People who have been on Zoom calls, chatted with other people who are coming, talked in a Facebook group, DM'd each other on Instagram about the event are less likely to, at the last minute, say, you know what, I'm just going to stay home and watch it on Zoom. Because they want to meet their new business besties, right? That they've been getting to online. And so that's what I like to see. And it's something that I think has been really helpful for myself and I'm excited to do moving forward. So in summary, we talked about building pre-event badges and the value of that for everybody, not just speakers, but everybody who wants to. For those who want to stay private and don't want to fill out their intake form, they don't have to do it, right? And they don't have to get a badge. That's okay. But for those who want to, they get that in advance. We talked about virtual prep calls, right? Having a chance to ahead of time. And we also talked about virtual communities, like the Facebook group, having a group inside of your event platform and how that allows people to connect with one another, find their lunch buddies, their dinner buddies, go to the Hollywood sign without you. Feel a little salty about that. But that really builds community and it builds a knockout event that people will not be able to stop talking about, right? And so that's the engagement we're going for. Now today, I want to give you the slides. So if you go to this link, I'll send you the slides. And I also talked about using Airtable. I have an Airtable base that I use for my intake forms. So you will get access to both of those. Go ahead and register. And the cool thing about the Airtable base is you can use that with the free version of Airtable if you haven't upgraded yet. So you get access to all of that for free, free 99, just for attending today. It also puts you on my email list, hear from me occasionally, but I think I'm a fun person, so it'll be good, okay? I'm really excited. I love having discussions with people, so I would love to know if anyone has any feedback or questions for me I know our amazing host, like my twinnie, also computer engineer turned event planner. I love it. Will be help moderating. Hi.
Hello. Weird. So on the badges, including for this event, ETL, if you look at the app, I see your face. My face is there too. We're among about 15%, probably. And I work on an event app, and it's part of enhancing the experience within my app, a higher propensity of people to upload their images. Thoughts on how to grease the skids to make that happen with better yield?
To get more people to upload their images?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I love that question. Yeah, I should have thought about that. I think people will do it when you tell them what you're going to do with it. I think, and if it's something that benefits them. I think that we all are, I consider myself a very nice person, but I'm included in what I'm about to say. I think we are all inherently selfish people, and we don't do things without some sort of motivation that benefits us. So for me, as silly as it may seem, a badge, like a conference, hosting me and saying, "Oh my goodness, we can't wait to see Faye Shala." Even if I would take away that I'm a speaker, we want to see Faye Shala. She's coming all the way from Maryland to attend Event Tech Live. Like, that benefits me because it makes me look cool, right? Because this conference is excited about seeing come. And so I think if you tell people in advance this is what we're going to use it for, that encourages that a little bit. I think that sometimes when it's like, "Oh, upload your picture so that people who are browsing through can see you," when they know they're going to be in the midst of hundreds and hundreds of people, they're like, "I'm not going to stand out, right, in the midst of hundreds of people." But if it's like, "I'm going to create something for you in exchange for you giving me this," then they're more likely to do it. I think of it almost as like nowadays, let's not talk about 15 years ago, like today, people won't give their email address for free. People give their email address in exchange for a checklist or a PDF or a free class. Like, people don't give their emails away for free anymore, right? And so I think similarly, everybody expects something out of it. I know it could be a little frustrating, but for me, I found that creating those, just having this template in Canva made it easy for me. And then like once a week, just go in and, okay, who registered this week? And then create the badges all at once and then put them out, send them to the people all at once. Just making it like a batch job once a week, it helped a lot. So I think that people need some sort of incentive. I think also maybe like raffle prizes, like if you upload it could be any other kind of incentive. This is just what I did, but I think any other kind of incentive works. But unfortunately, people don't give their stuff away for free anymore. They make it hard for us. Was that helpful?
So we want to say thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I want everyone to take a picture of her URL there if you have not already navigated to it, and she will be here around to answer any other questions you may have. Thank you so much.